Hello, everyone. Welcome back to Radio Free Urbanism, a podcast about urbanism and stuff. I'm your host, Alex Williams, and today I'm joined by the delightful regulars, Nick Laporte. Say hi, Nick.
Hello, everybody.
And Ethan Myers.
You know, it's been a couple weeks, folks, but I'm back, and you know what? It's good to be back.
And it's good to have you back. We're delighted to have you back. Once again, we are missing our guest, but that's okay, folks. We're gonna get people back on.
We
the
had to
show.
reschedule,
Yeah. We're gonna reschedule. Nick, did you have any updates, or should we go straight to Ethan's?
Let's go straight to Ethan. I'm very curious to hear what's going on with your life. So,
Fill us in.
Let's go.
What's going on?
So, folks, I've been doing some stuff past couple of weeks, and that stuff that I've been doing is relocating. So, for all of you who may have known, I was living in Las Vegas, Nevada, or the suburbs of it, and now I have relocated to a fairly walkable neighborhood in the city of Portland, Oregon. I'm super excited to be living here. You know, I got a new job. Things are very on the up for me right now. And it's been a couple weeks since I've been on the show, and things are a little bit weird in the moving process still, but it's fun to be back. It's great to be back. I can't wait to talk about more urbanism and stuff with you guys.
And stuff. Yeah. So Austin in the chat says living the max life. We're stoked that you're in Portland, living a more transit oriented life. And Ethan gave us a little bit of a tour beforehand, and I'm a little bit jealous. He's got a nice view and nice stuff surrounding him, so that's pretty fantastic.
Well, I guess the Radio Free Urbanism meetup's going to have to happen soon.
And at your place, you're hosting.
Exactly.
Yeah. Cool. That's awesome. Well, we're happy to have you back, and I have a little bit of an update. Something interesting happened to me yesterday. Happened twice to me yesterday, actually. I was walking through downtown, and I was coming down an escalator, and this guy just stops me, and he's like, "Hey, I watch your YouTube channel." And I was like, "Oh, cool." And I chatted with him for a second. We had a quick little exchange. I was on my way to a meeting, but then I told him to join Calgary Transit Riders, which if anybody is listening to this and you are in Calgary, please make sure you join Calgary Transit Riders. We're doing some cool stuff. And then later on, I was going to an election watch party, and I walk into this restaurant, and another friend is sitting at a table there, and I stop and say hi, and he introduces me to his other friends, and one of them is like, "Oh yeah, I watch your YouTube videos." So it happened twice in one day, which is very, very unusual for it to even happen once. I'm not famous or anything, but for it to happen twice in one day, it was just kind of like a weird. I'm like, oh, these conversations that I'm having are reaching people, right? And we're able to talk about these ideas and make our cities better. Austin says, "You're popular. You should run for council." You know what? Yeah, I've been thinking about it. I just might do that. But yeah, Nick, you got a news story for us.
Is it a news story? It's a topic again. Come on, guys.
It's a topic.
And I know we don't want to talk about it. We kind of we have to talk about it at least a little bit. This is kind of a big deal. Obviously, today is November 6th. Now, I'm Canadian. I live in Canada. And does it affect me? I suppose it does, but maybe Ethan can speak more to this. But if you didn't know, which would be insane, yesterday the election happened and Donald Trump was elected yet again and will be the 47th president of the United States. So you can, take that as you will. I'm sure we all have different feelings about this. I saw this morning when I was biking to work on a multi-use path. Somebody had spray painted Trump #1 all over this path. And I don't know what to say about it. In Vancouver, Canada. And I thought it was kind of funny. I was like, is this person like, are they aware of where they're doing this and the whole, rhetoric around it and what Trump's for? Or is the irony just lost in them? They're walking down this beautiful path and this is where they wanted to spray paint that. So I'm not sure. But anyway, I wanted to talk about this a little bit. What does Donald Trump's presidency mean for urbanism, right? And there's definitely been some, I don't want to say fear mongering, but definitely some people freaking out, maybe being a bit hyperbolic about what this means towards the space of urbanism when it comes to transit, city building, and cycling, etc. The things that we talk about on this show. And, we talked about Senator Vance's proposal that he brought forward last year, which is essentially to bring cars to the forefront. And that's about taking away subsidies, or at least grants given to EVs, and shifting them towards American-made gas-powered cars, which, from our perspective, I can probably say that that's insane. I think you guys might agree that's pretty insane. So to have him as the VP is already the start of that. Now, I don't want to go into the depths of the policies that he may or may not bring forward, but what I wanted to really highlight is the fact that while there's probably going to be some issues that's going to arise as far as it comes from federal funding that'll lead to, let's just say, harder times getting public transportation funded in general, I don't think that this is going to be the blow that a lot of people think it's going to be. And the reason why is because so much of that kind of things usually is at the state level, but more importantly, it's at the municipal level. It's about what you want to make your community. And that's where the real power is as far as urbanism goes. Obviously, when it comes to regional stuff, maybe Ethan can speak to this a bit. I don't know. Like, what are the implications with, interstate rail and stuff like that, like Brightline that's being built between California and Nevada at the moment? I'm not sure. But I wanted to, look at the bright side and say, hey, it's not over. The world's not ending. You still have power to make your communities better. And that's by voting for people in your community who want to do that, being that person, running for city council, doing that, and getting engaged in your local politics and advocacy to make your cities better. Yeah, that's the soapbox that I wanted to stand on today.
I think that's a beautiful soapbox. And I'm personally I'm an action-oriented person, and so yesterday when people were talking about these elections, because there have been a few elections that we've had conversations about, both in Canada, both provincially, locally, federally, where we're having these conversations around what does this mean for us, right? And on this show, we talk particularly about urbanism. Different things mean different things for different situations. But here, talking about urbanism, I'm very action oriented. I'm about making my community a better place, right? Whatever the provincial or the federal government's rules are, whatever their policies are, there are a lot of ways that I can make my community a better place. And whatever party, whoever is in power, that's not going to change those efforts, right? So that's kind of my overall take on it. Ethan, you're our resident American, though. So give us some thoughts here.
So, realistically, when it comes to, the Republicans taking power with their supermajority that they're going to have, not only just with the presidency, but with the Senate, the House of Representatives, and the Supreme Court, it's going to be, say, pretty impossible for any major federal projects to get funded outside of maybe the exception. I don't think existing projects are really going to be as affected, but the expansion of additional projects and other plans like that are probably going to be put onto the wayside. Now, down to the state and local levels, it might be a different story. State projects might have that more flexibility to actually get that funding and actually do bigger statewide projects. And local projects like new bike lanes or like small transit extensions or transit improvements, those will probably still go on business as usual, depending on where you are in the country. But while there might be a real slowing of progress when it comes to the political side of things, just in terms of how the machine works in the U.S. of, the federal side, at least on the state and municipal levels, smaller down, there will still be progress. And that's just within the governments as well, too, within the local and state governments. We're not even talking about the people viewing from the outside, because there's still a lot of groundwork to do for urbanism and speaking on its behalf and really advocating for that, too. And at the end of the day, that's all we can really do is advocate on our end and just let people know that, hey, widening roads, it really isn't the best solution, and self-driving cars are still cars, and cars really aren't the solution to our transportation problems within our cities. So progress is definitely going to grind down a lot slower in the U.S., but that's not to say that it's going to completely stop.
And I'll also add that across North America, especially Canada and the US, our cities are in like budgetary disasters, right? Like we got to pay to maintain all of this infrastructure. In Calgary, as an example, we have a $7 billion infrastructure deficit. Like if we wanted to like get all of our infrastructure, all of our pipes and our roads and our sidewalks and everything else up to date, we'd have to spend $7 billion to do that. And we just don't have that money just sitting around, right? And so I think that we have to make serious considerations about like how we spend that money. And I think the Strong Towns approach is a pretty reasonable one, right? And that's one that I think most governments, whether they are more right or more left, I think they can see the benefits of that, right? Like we have to have infrastructure that we can actually pay to maintain. And not have to rely on giant infrastructure bills in order to like get anything, right?
Investments in the community.
Yeah.
I really wish I could agree with you there, but this Republican Party definitely does not think with financial logic. I mean, I'm sorry.
Yeah, but
it's so hard.
But
It's
I mean,
so hard
like,
to be optimistic on this one.
I like even on the more local level though, right? Like I'm talking about on the local level, getting involved in your local government and really trying to engage. And like Nick said, that can look like a variety of things, whether you're with like a specific advocacy organization, you're going there just as an individual, you're getting involved in your community association, or dare I say it, get involved in your HOA. Whatever way you're getting involved, and maybe even running for council or running on the state or provincial level too, right? Like there are a lot of ways that you can make a difference in your community.
Yeah, and we talked about this too recently, right? A couple weeks ago when we were talking about the BC election when it came to anti-intellectualism, and that's definitely what we've seen across the globe, not just in BC and Canada and the United States like we saw last night. And something that was said in the chat by Austin, I think it says fiscal conservatism is a brand nowadays, not an actual ideology based on being fiscally responsible. And what it is fiscal conservatism is not spending money on things you don't want your money being spent on. It's having your money spent on the things you want being spent on. And that's it, right? I want you to pay for my highway, but I don't want to pay, whatever for the things that I'm using. It's exactly like I had a conversation with somebody on Threads about this. And it was like, why should we have to pay a tax to go into the city with our cars? And it was like, this is a story as old as time now. It's having the city dwellers pay the bills for the suburbanites. And it's just an extension of that. And that's the way we're going. It's just really sad. But there was a comment I saw on the Fuck Car subreddit talking about this in the election and Donald Trump. And they said all environmental protections will be repealed. All train projects will be halted and the land on alignment sold to multiple private owners to prevent future construction of the lines. Single-family houses will be the only housing allowed. Bike lanes will be made illegal. And anything the oil lobby wants is going to be given to them 100%. This was upvoted quite a bit. I think it's quite hyperbolic is what I think it is. But that's obviously, this is very reactionary. It's the morning after, folks. I get it. But I think it's not going to be as bad as a lot of people are thinking, right? This is the same thing that happened before. And of course, like what Ethan said, it is a supermajority. It is different than the last time Donald Trump was in power. And who knows what's going to happen. I'm optimistic on certain directions, but also it could be a global disaster. But I don't want to get into those things right now because we're not talking about global politics on this show.
Yeah, we're talking about urbanism and stuff.
And stuff. This stuff is a bit too stuffy.
Yeah, apparently.
Yeah.
But something that came out, and I'm gonna tilt this conversation in a different direction now, since we don't have a ton of time to record. I've got a thing I've got to go to, and Ethan is running off of his internet data, his cellular. So we're gonna hop on over to trains. We're gonna talk about trains. We brought this up on the show last week, Nick and I. And we wanted to bring it up again when we had Ethan here, and that is the potential for a high-speed rail between Toronto and Montreal that the Trudeau Liberals have said as like, hey guys, like this is something really, really cool that we're gonna do. And Nick and I both kind of said, well, it seems a little bit like a please vote for us whenever the next election happens, whether it's next month or, in a year still. But yeah, what do you think, Ethan? What do you think? Is high speed rail coming to Canada, and is it going to happen in Ontario and Quebec first?
I've definitely, so when it comes obviously to Canada, pretty much everybody lives with.
Did we lose him? He's gone.
Yeah, we although his audio might be coming through in the recording, it's just not coming through for us. But maybe he reached his data limit.
Oh no!
He's like,
I think they have unlimited data in the United States. What the heck?
I think Canada might be the last country on earth that doesn't have unlimited data.
I think Donald Trump took away the internet in Portland. They didn't want the Democrats to be.
I was chatting with a guy who, a friend of mine in the UK, and he was telling me, yeah, Ethan's gone. But so my friend in the UK was telling me how he's like, man, cell phone plans are so expensive here, and he's like, it's so brutal. And I asked him, I says, how much do you pay a month for your cell phone plan? And he said something like $25 a month or something. And he says, but I guess that does include Spotify. So literally, he's paying like 25, 30, like pennies compared to us in Canada, right?
Yeah.
And he's complaining about it, and it includes Spotify subscription. I was like, man, you don't get it. You don't get it.
It's so bad, honestly.
Yeah,
it's crazy. I don't know if I talked about this on this show, but I lost my phone when I was in London. This was like before COVID. I was in London, England, and I lost my phone, which when you're traveling, it's like your lifeline because you have everything on it nowadays. And that sucked, but
yeah,
I bought a phone with 10 gigs, and this is pre-COVID, mind you, and it cost me, it was like £65 for a phone and 10 gigs. And like,
that's crazy.
That's like a phone plan for a month for a lot of people in Canada.
Yeah.
Is like, well,
at
£65
least
is like almost $100, but either way, yeah. Still, it's crazy. Like without discounts, I think mine would be close to, $80 to $90. Thankfully, mine's like 50 for like basically unlimited now, and I can go to the US with it too and not pay fees, which is amazing. But
I'm back.
Here he is. Okay.
There we go. Okay, Ethan, you were going to give us your opinion
about Canada.
That is
trains.
true. That is true. I was going to give the opinion. Well, I've heard one thing about the Canadian high-speed rail project between Toronto and Montreal, and that is that it's been proposed more than a few times. I believe that it did have that proposal. It was called like, what was it? It was called like HFR, high-frequency rail.
Yes. Yep.
It was kind of in that level as well, too. There have been a lot of proposals for that, and it's without a doubt one of the most obvious high-speed rail corridor projects in North America in general, and honestly around the world. I mean, it's a majority of the population of the country, all in one straight line. I mean, can you make it any easier than that? But regardless, really, it's such an obvious project. Any government, liberal, conservative, no matter what side, should have built something there. And it's a good idea that they've definitely proposed that project. We'll have to see how far they actually go along with it in terms of actually building it, but it is a very exciting rail project that could be built out in Canada and really just kind of be, a nice base work for other connections, not only in Canada, but in North America as well, too. But who knows? Alberta might beat them to it.
Well, that's what we're talking about, right? Like here's the situation with both of these plans, right? Both of these ideas have been talked about forever. The nice thing about the plan, the Toronto to Montreal, you've already got Via Rail doing the routes over there, right? So there's already some existing project, right? Some existing rail, some existing ridership out east for this project. So that's kind of a leg up. But then you have out here in Alberta, we lost ours. I think it was 1990 or something like that we lost our rail connection between, at least passenger rail connection between Calgary and Edmonton. And then just recently this year, the provincial government, the UCP, they decided that we're going to do this rail master plan that's currently being worked on, and that's going to be published, I think, like August next year, right? So there's actually like a plan being made, and it's not like a study; it's an actual plan with delivery involved. So I feel like the Alberta one is a little bit more ahead, even though you probably have a little bit more of a business case for Toronto to Montreal. Those are larger population centers, and they have existing passenger ridership already. But yeah, I'm kind of feeling the same way. Like when the Liberal government brings this up federally, it feels a lot more like a please vote for us sort of thing.
It
Whereas
really does.
Whereas like the UCP in Alberta, they've still got, almost 2.5 years left in government, right? This seems like a project that they're not trying to buy votes with. It seems more like something that at least Danielle Smith, our premier, is actually interested in doing. So that's where we're at. That's kind of why I agree, why I think, we might see the Alberta high-speed rail before we see Ontario and Quebec high-speed rail.
Yeah,
which is,
I mean, it's
amazing. It's incredible. Like
Yeah.
it's almost nonsensical, but here we are.
It's definitely the thing is that they're definitely going to have a little bit more of a logistical struggle building that Ontario to Montreal corridor, just purely because there's more people living in the way. It's an already existing corridor, and it's definitely, it's not going to be easy, but I mean, it's definitely something that needs to be done. I mean, HFR is a half decent sounding project, but it doesn't address the actual issue of it's a corridor that can absolutely justify high speed rail.
Absolutely. Yeah.
What are you thinking, Nick?
Well, it's just funny to think about this coming from the federal party, while meanwhile in Ontario right now we're getting the absolute opposite. We're literally overreaching into cities and taking out bike lanes and trying to build brand new highways in the middle of the green belt in Ontario, which should be basically like just protected land that should not be touched. It's wild, the juxtaposition between the two. When one is just going to create more cars, more car traffic in general, more sprawl, and the other one is literally going to help solve the issue in the first place from the ground up, which is like, guys, come on. Let's be logical about this.
And it's, it's a more efficient use of our infrastructure, right? Like we were talking about infrastructure deficits and stuff, and, we only have so much space. We only have so much money. And in places where we need a lot of people to be able to get around, the most financially efficient way to do that is often with trains. Or, in places like a downtown, that's walking or bicycles, right? But between two major urban centers, that's a train is going to do that job most efficiently, right? Like that's the biggest bang for your buck, because it all costs money. Roads, bike lanes, sidewalks, rails, it all costs money. But if you want to move lots and lots of people a fair distance, best bang for your buck is easily going to be the train. Plus, it's safer and more comfortable than driving. So, there's a few benefits.
It's really that triple threat of everything being good with the train. Not saying that people shouldn't be driving, obviously. It's multimodal out here, but the train really is, for the distance of these cities, the best option to get between them.
Right, exactly. Like, it depends what you're going for, right? Like Rob or Doug Ford wants to dig a tunnel under the 401, or at least he says he wants to dig a tunnel, right? Which is just like the project to talk about that idea, to do a study on that idea. You're just wasting money on consultants to find out that this doesn't make any sense. Like it does not make financial sense to do that. If you want to expand the capacity of the 401, you need to expand the capacity of the rail and the transit in the area. It's not even a matter of money or whether you want to drive or take the train. It's literally just geometry, right? You can only make a road so big before it just stops working. If you have 9 lanes of traffic that you have to cross over in order to get to your exit, right? Like, what are we doing here? Like, let's be serious, guys.
Yeah. it doesn't double your capacity. I don't want to get into this. I'm obviously thinking a lot about the bike lanes in Toronto and stuff, but
Yeah.
this would be amazing.
That's
but
the stuff of Radio Free Urbanism
yeah,
and
but
stuff.
it's so dreamy, right? We've been talking about this for ages on this show. We've been here for a year, but this is something I've been dreaming about since I was a kid. Like,
Yeah.
I've taken the train when I was younger, going from London to Toronto or other areas around there, and I dreamed about that. Hey, wouldn't it be cool if I could get on the train in London, Ontario, go watch a hockey game, and come home in the same day, and it not cost me an arm and a leg? That would be incredible. Like, this could be the start of that. And then this could be something that could be extended internationally. There, you could take a train from Toronto to New York City, something like that. It could actually be viable. It'd be pretty cool. But I'm just dreaming.
Yeah, it's just a crazy dream there. Driving that would be so much more efficient.
Oh, God. Can I just say, like, I see this all the time. I know I mentioned this in our Discord, which you can join if you join our Patreon at Radio Free Urbanism for as little as $1 a month, where we have conversations about $1, one single dollar.
$1.
Now we lost Alex, but that's okay. But it's just crazy when often I'll be in discussions and disagreements about people, and they'll say, "Oh, but the car is the most efficient way to travel." I'm like, what do you mean? Like, what do you mean? Like, what are we talking about? You're talking about from the way that we've built it now and where your specific thing you're talking about, this journey you're talking about, it's the fastest way. Duh. That's not what we're talking about when we talk about efficiency. This is the stuff, guys.
That's efficiency for you.
Yes.
Not efficiency for the network.
It's not efficient for the
Bring up
network.
the whole network.
Yes.
And it's the least efficient.
But even for yourself, like when we're talking about
yeah.
this, like how much you have to spend on this, how much space you need to store this giant vehicle to have it always ready to go, the amount of money you need to repair it. It's just, it's wild.
It all adds up.
It's wild.
It is a crazy cost just to be able to move around, and designing our cities that way is just a poor plan.
Yeah.
Without any option.
Absolutely. But since we're here with Alex, and I'm not sure where he wanted to go to next, unless he just had to leave. He's like, you know what, guys, I'm leaving. Irish goodbye. He's gone.
I'm done.
But I want to know more about Portland. Like, how much more transit have you already been taking?
So I live right next to 2 of the transit lines and multiple other bus lines, and it's been pretty much transit every single day. I live in a neighborhood just to the west of downtown, so my neighborhood is very walkable. I have a lot of things within a 10-minute walk of me, and I do that a lot. I haven't gotten a whole lot of biking in just yet, but soon enough I'll have my bike up here and I'll be able to do that. But Portland transit is very interesting, and one thing you learn about it very, very quickly is how inefficient it is in downtown. And Jen Hall just said, have you bought anything with a bird on it yet? I have not, unfortunately. But downtown transit is slow here. And there is a lot of advocacy to get it to be faster. But outside of downtown, transit actually speeds up. But then, of course, your land use around it gets worse.
What is that keeping it from speeding up downtown? Is it just signal priority? Or
with the Max light rail, specifically for Max alone, its problem is that it is running at grade downtown. Mm-hmm. So you have these 2-car light rail vehicles that are probably about 120 feet long, running through the streets of downtown, and they can max out at like 15 miles an hour, 15 or 20 miles an hour. It's incredibly slow in downtown, and there have been proposals to actually dig a tunnel for Max, the light rail, to actually cut under downtown and keep its max speed of 55 miles an hour. Some of the other transit is actually a little bit faster. The streetcars here are slow. They're basically people movers. But the buses, they usually move through downtown the fastest other than a bike. So if you're trying to get through downtown, the buses usually are the best way to go.
Okay.
There is signal priority for a lot of stuff down here too, but of course you're still going to get caught by the occasional light because signal priority isn't perfect.
Mm-hmm. That's fair. Yeah. The thing I really but the thing that I'm jealous of, at least from that whole area, is there's good cheese. And this is so off topic. This is the stuff, guys. We're talking about stuff today. But yeah, seriously.
Tillamook.
Oh, Tillamook is so good. Holy. What's the town it's in? It's west of Portland. I can't remember the name.
Tillamook.
Is it just called Tillamook is the place? Yeah.
It's Tillamook,
okay.
yeah.
Holy crap. I went there. It's so good. Oh my God.
Yeah, no, I'll definitely be making a stop out in Tillamook. It's like an hour west of the city.
Yeah. But at least you can just get it like easily in Portland. You could probably buy like some of it here too. But
definitely.
like I was in Seattle last week, right? And even there, like you can get great cheese curds. Oh, their aged cheddar is amazing. We have no like local creameries here in Vancouver and area. I'm like in Ontario, there was plenty. I remember going to like places you watch them make the cheese and everything. But holy smokes. Oh.
Yeah, there wasn't a lot when I lived in Illinois, but up north in Wisconsin, I mean, it was just creameries everywhere. But here, there's some good cheese selection. I'll say that the Willamette Valley's got the cheese.
Oh, so good. Yeah, the donuts are overrated. That's my hot take, though.
They are. They're better in LA. You got to go to LA for good donuts. They're all right here.
They're decent. I honestly think that's what Vancouver does really well is the donuts. But I don't know if Alex is going to come back or not. So
I don't either. Do we have a plan for the rest of the show?
We have a listener mail, and I don't know if Alex had anything else, but that's it because he had to go, and we're going to make it a really short show.
It's definitely going to be a really short. Oh, speak of the devil.
Here he is. He's back.
Sorry,
Alex,
guys.
we were talking about cheese.
You're talking about cheese?
Yeah, we went really off the rails.
Do you know what? I recently bought some coastal cheddar. And that's good stuff. I like my favorite cheeses are coastal cheddar, Welsh cheddar. I enjoy those. So okay, are we still on the same recording? It's still rolling?
31 minutes in here.
Wow,
yeah.
This is amazing. Do you know what? I just want to point out this was the first time that I was the one with the technical difficulties, I think. So honestly, not bad. Like we're almost on a year of doing this show and this was the first time I had a problem. I don't know why my internet just died. But it's back now. So anyways, trains. So
trains
and stuff.
Trains, cheese.
Yeah.
Cool. What else do we got? Where are we at? Where do we want to go?
We have a question.
We got a question.
We have some listener mail.
And yes, Austin, it is Shaw Internet. So, yeah.
Yeah, you guys have that fun little internet telecom monopoly up there, don't you?
Yeah, more or less. Yeah, it's a real interesting situation for us, cell phone and internet wise. But Jen's question here. Nick, why don't you read that?
Okay, this is from Jen Hall. One of our favorite friends of the show. You're given permission to hold a public or private event on all the train cars of your city's LRT for 2 hours. What kind of event would you run? Can I go first?
Please do.
Go first. I got something. Okay, guys, think about it for a minute. Just like let that sink in. You'll have an idea. Mine would be to have just a few. I would call it Nihonjikan, which means in Japanese time. Where for the 2 hours, we pretend it's a Japanese train, which means don't talk on your fucking cell phone, okay? Put it on manner mode, all right? And just be respectful. Don't eat. Don't have your music blaring. Be respectful to your fellow transit riders. Just for 2 hours. That's it. That's all.
So wait.
Wow,
You're like your special opportunity to use transit cars for whatever you want is to just use it for transit, but everyone has like transit etiquette.
Yep, exactly. That's it.
I love that. I love that so much. That's beautiful. That is truly beautiful. Ethan, you go next.
Honestly, my idea would be for each of the TriMet vehicles to be offering out coffee. You know,
that'd
this
be
is a
rad.
coffee town. Got a nice little coffee service on board. Wake up the whole city. You know, just enjoy the ride. You know, free cup of coffee on TriMet.
Yeah, I love
For
that.
For Vegas, I would put slot machines on all the buses, though.
Are there not already?
Unfortunately, no. That'd be a great way to generate revenue to actually improve the system, though.
Oh God!
Actually, that would be amazing. That would actually help fund just like traveling slot machines. So yeah, okay. So for mine, Jen in this comment says that we could use all of the train cars in the city. So I feel like I'm leading up to like something totally crazy, like chain all of the train cars together, and then you know have like one giant long train and can be at two stations at once. But that's not what I'm saying. I think it'd be really cool to do like kind of a walk through history. We do have an old trolley that's up at Heritage Park, which is my favorite museum in the city. And I think it would be really cool to use that and then use the C train. We have the old U2s as well as the newer light rail vehicles that we use. I think it would be a really cool opportunity to set up some sort of traveling museum that that different people could interact with. So that would be my choice.
I like that.
Yeah,
that's cool.
I like it.
Me too. Cool. Well, are we about ready to wrap up? How are we feeling?
This is like the most non-show we've ever had.
It literally is. It literally is.
Guys. This is the most show of all time.
It's many people are saying this. Skitch says I needed it though, and we appreciated it. We needed it too. Yeah. It's nice to have something a little bit more casual, a little bit more quiet with a bunch of technical difficulties. I'm amazed both Ethan and I had technical difficulties on the same episode. So
yeah, my phone overheated for some reason.
oh well, you know, yeah, that'll happen. You're not even living in Vegas anymore,
moment.
and it's cooking. Yeah, there's Nick's cat. If you're watching the YouTube version.
Purring into the mic,
which we love and appreciate. But yeah, this has been fun. Ethan, do you want to start us to the end of the show here?
Yeah, absolutely, folks. Thank you so much for tuning in. We know this show's been a little bit of a moment, to say the least, but we appreciate your support. And if you want to continue your support of the show, for just $1 a month, you can go check us out on Patreon, get early access to the show, get live access to the show, and get access to our Discord. Well, folks, thank you so much for watching the show. I'm Ethan. You can find me over at Climate in Transit and on pretty much every platform. Nick, where can the good people find you?
You can find me on Threads, Instagram, and YouTube at Nick the Door. What about you, Alex?
You can find me at Humane Cities on Instagram and YouTube, and you can also find me at Alex Williams YYC on Instagram, Twitter. I guess I'm on X now. I was told.
Now you're on it.
Well, I was told I had to be since I'm running for office. So if you want to keep up with me running for office in Calgary's Ward 11, you can join me. You can join me there and follow me on all of that stuff. So yeah, this has been fun. This has been grand and groovy. Take us out, Ethan.
Folks, thank you so much for watching, and as always, train good, car bad.
Two wheels good.
And feet first.